तादायन् अतिनिचोच्चताकर आनम च कदाचिन्मां प्रेरणा कृत्कण्ठयोस्फुर। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today's 1.16.3 to 1.16.15. Okay, okay. I already did 3 yesterday. Now it is 1.16.3 to 1.16.12, 3 to 12 today. So I'll start with 4. So effectively it is 4 to 12. And I will turn off my video just in case. निजग्राहौ जचावीरः कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचित् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं घ्नान्तं गोमिथुनं पदा. Once, when Maharaj Parikshit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. The purpose of a king's going out to conquer the world is not for self-aggrandizement. Maharaj Parikshit went out to conquer the world after his ascendance to the throne, but this was not for the purpose of aggression on other states. He was the emperor of the world, and all small states were already under his regime. His purpose in going out was to see how things were going on in terms of the godly state. The king, being the representative of the Lord, has to execute the will of the Lord duly. There is no question of self-aggrandizement. It means there's no scope for simply trying to rule over others. One has to act as a deputy of the Supreme Lord. That is the point. Thus, as soon as Maharaj Parikshit saw that a lower class man in the dress of a king was hurting the legs of a cow and a bull, at once he arrested and punished him. The king cannot tolerate insults to the most important animal, the cow, nor can he tolerate disrespect for the most important man, the Brahmana. Human civilization means to advance the cause of Brahminical culture and to maintain it. Cow protection is essential. There is a miracle in milk, or it contains all the necessary vitamins to sustain human physiological conditions for higher achievements. Brahminical culture can advance only when man is educated to develop the quality of goodness, and for this, there is a prime necessity of food prepared with milk, fruits, and grains. Maharaj Parikshit was astonished to see that a black Shudra, dressed like a ruler, was mistreating a cow, the most important animal in human society. The age of Kali means mismanagement and quarrel. And the root cause of all mismanagement and quarrel is that worthless men with the modes of lower class men who have no higher ambition in life come to the helm of the state management. So when you put the wrong person on top of the org chart, then it becomes a problem. Such men at the post of a king are sure to first hurt the cow and the Brahminical culture, thereby pushing all society towards hell. Maharaj Parikshit, trained as he was, got the scent of this root cause of all quarrel in the world. Thus, he wanted to stop it in the very beginning. Text 5. Chaunaka Uvacha. Asya heto nijagraha kalim digvijayen nripaha nrideva chikhnadhit shudra o sau gam yah pada hanat tat kathyata mahabhaga yadi krishna kathashrayam. Shaunaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaj Parikshit simply punish him since he was the lowest of the Shudras, having dressed as a king and struck a cow on the leg? Please describe all these incidents if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. Madhvacharya reads this variant reading here. He has a variant reading here. Instead of Shudra Kaha as a single word, he has Shudraha space Kaha. In which case, it would mean, who was that Shudra who was attacking a cow? It is already stated that he is Kali. So who is he indicates that Shaunaka Rishi was objecting to this activity. Like in English, we say, who the hell was he? Like that. Ayamartha Kalim Kasmatheto Kevalam Nijagraha Natu Patavan. The point is this. Shaunaka Rishi is asking, for what reason did Maharaj Parikshit simply punish him? Why did he not kill him? Yataha asau shudraha atikutsitaha, because he was most abominable. Because he was most abominable and he attacked a cow with his feet. Antume vochitaha, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, it is appropriate that he should be killed. Shaunaka and the other rishis were astonished to hear that the pious Maharaj Parikshit simply punished the culprit and did not kill him. This suggests that a pious king like Maharaj Parikshit should have at once killed an offender who wanted to cheat the public by dressing like a king and at the same time daring to insult the purest of the animals, a cow. The rishis in those days, however, could not even imagine that in the advanced days of the age of Kali, the lowest of the Shudras would be elected as administrators and would open organized slaughterhouses for killing cows anyway. Although hearing about a Shudraka who was a cheat, an insulter of a cow, was not very interesting to the great rishis, they nevertheless wanted to hear about it to see if the event had any connection with Lord Krishna. They were simply interested in the topics of Lord Krishna. For anything that is dovetailed with the narration of Krishna is worth hearing. There are many topics in the Bhagavatam about sociology, politics, economics, cultural affairs, etc. etc. refers to topics of creation, maintenance, annihilation, and so on. But all of them are in relation with Krishna, and therefore all of them are worth hearing. Krishna is a purifying ingredient in all matters, regardless of what they are. In the mundane world, everything is impure due to its being a product of the three mundane qualities. The purifying agent, however, is Krishna. Because we haven't studied the Puranas, we may not be able to understand what is the significance of this description of Bhagavatam as being connected with Lord Krishna. In the other Puranas also, creation and similar topics are discussed, but you will not find Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana brought out clearly. That is very intentional. It is to attract those who are averse to Krishna consciousness or even pure Krishna consciousness. So therefore, Vyasadeva presents the other Puranas like that. But that is not the case with Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those, actually it is meant for Paramahamsas, and it is meant for those who are otherwise, without any envy, they are willing to accept Krishna's glories as they are. 6. Athavasya padambhojam makarandal likham satam kimanyai asadalapayet ayusho yad asad vyayaha. Or please speak of topics related to the devotees of the Lord who are accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord? What is the use of topics which simply waste one's valuable life? Accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord means accustomed to relishing the honey available from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. यदि कृष्ण कथाश्रयं भवति तर्हि तदन्यदपि कथ्यताम् इत्यर्थः. If there are other related topics and they are also connected to
Hare Krishna. Prabhu will be joining soon. There was some issue with the computer. So please have patience and wait.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, can anyone hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so I just use my tablet and I can. Okay, where did I stop? I just have to give my computer for servicing or something. Okay, where did I stop? I thought I was reading out.
Reading out the purport, I think, of the verse.
Okay. Okay, let me just continue with this. Lord Krishna and his devotees are both on the transcendental plane. Therefore, the topics of Lord Krishna and of his pure devotees are equally good. The battle of Kurukshetra is full of politics and diplomacy. But because the topics are related with Lord Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is therefore adored all over the world. There is no need to eradicate politics, economics, sociology, etc., which are mundane to the mundaners. To a pure devotee who is actually related with the Lord, such mundane things are transcendental if dovetailed with the Lord or with his pure devotees. We have heard and talked about the activities of the Pandavas, and we now are dealing with the topics of Maharaj Parikshit. But because all these topics are related to the Lord Sri Krishna, they are all transcendental, and pure devotees have great interest in hearing them. We have already discussed this matter in connection with the prayers of Bhishma Dev. Our duration of life is not very long, and there is no certainty of when we shall be ordered to leave everything for the next stage. Now, this is a theme which was repeatedly brought out by Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also writes about this now and then. Thus, it is our duty to see that not a moment of our life is wasted in topics which are not related with Lord Krishna. Any topic, however pleasant, is not worth hearing if it is devoid of its relation to Krishna. The spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavan, the eternal abode of Lord Krishna, is shaped like the world of a lotus flower. Even when the Lord descends to any one of the mundane planets, he does so by manifesting his own abode as it is. Thus, his feet always remain on the same big world of the lotus flower. Is also as beautiful as the lotus flower. Therefore, it is said that Lord Krishna has lotus feet. A living being is eternal by constitution. He is, so to speak, in the whirlpool of birth and death due to his contact with material energy. Freed from such material energy, a living entity is liberated and is eligible to return home back to Godhead. Those who want to live forever without changing their bodies should not waste valuable time with topics other than those relating to Lord Krishna and his devotees. And we have sufficient information about how this principle was actually applied by Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Text 7.
Prabhu, before your text begins, please, on your video, it will be good because there is no such thing. So for recording also, for us also, we'll feel less sleepy, something like that.
That's maybe okay. But wait, I don't know how it will look like.
Oh, it's in landscape mode.
What can I do? What can I do? This tablet now. All these miseries are there. Study Bhagavatam at your own risk. That's all. Achyutanam Prabhu asked a question. And how do I... Wait. I'm trying to... Okay, wait. Let me think what to do.
Yeah,
okay, come on.
Good.
Let's see if all of you can put on video, and let me see if this tablet can handle it.
Should handle its problem in your computer, not in the network actually.
Maybe after the class, I should give it for servicing. That's all. Okay. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, here dovetailing, the concept of dovetailing is there. So, who can dovetail and what are my boundaries of dovetailing? What all things I can dovetail and what I should never think of dovetailing?
This is where Mahajanas come in. Mahajano yena gatah sapantha. So this is why they have Mahajanas. This is why we also have different sampradayas. So they demonstrate, just like you go to a particular doctor. The doctor says, you take this combination of medicine and you take this diet, you accept this lifestyle, and you get this result. And you keep checking. The patient is supposed to check whether he's getting the results that have been predicted. Now, doctors always differ from each other. That doesn't mean that there is no science of medicine at all. There is a science, but you need to know how to apply it. So in the system of medicine that we have accepted, for instance, if you accept Krishna consciousness as taught by Prabhupada, then there are certain things which he will say is prescribed, certain things he will say are allowed and certain things he will say are prohibited. But eventually they all match. Like he may say, okay, initially you eat whatever you want within the boundaries of Krishna consciousness. But then Prabhupada has a method by which he's bringing you to the point of absolute surrender. The same way, different acharyas, they have different ways of doing it. The one, just like how do we know who's a better doctor, who's a good doctor, who's a better doctor, who's a best doctor? We know that by checking how effective he is in curing compliant patients. Compliant patients. So, in that way, if you see Prabhupada's particular formula, method, has produced good results. This actually produced good results. So we have to go with the guidelines issued by Prabhupada on what is meant by dovetailing. We have to constantly keep checking whether what we are doing is in line with Prabhupada, because he was accomplished for his task. So the closer we are to carrying out Prabhupada's instructions, his examples are understood from his own books. His behavior should be understood in terms of the teachings that he presented in the books, not independent of the books. So if we follow Krishna consciousness of that kind, then we can ourselves see whether the predicted results are achieved. Okay, 7. I cannot go on holding this thing like this.
Use some stand, some you can keep somewhere behind book you can keep behind that tablet something.
Finish it all. And now he's got a stand also. Come on. Gita Samsara, this is tablet Samsara. Okay. As long as it doesn't fall off. That's crazy. It's okay. I'll figure it out. So if I go like this, and that and all, you should accept. Okay. Just like you people
Okay.
will travel.
You
bus
can
and-
switch off
all-
your video, no problem.
Okay. If you all go to sleep, I'm not responsible for it. Okay. How do I stop video? 7. Rudrayasham Nranam Anga Matyanam Ritam Ikshatam Ihopahuto Bhagavan Mrityu Shamitra Karmani. Oh, Suta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire to become free from death and get eternal life instead of a short life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death Yamaraj. Asmakam ayam satra prayatne api harikathamrita panartha eva ityaha sardhabhyam. In 1.5 verses, it is pointed out that this satra is a particular type of fire sacrifice. This endeavor to conduct a satra is also actually to taste the nectar of Harikatha. Ritam, where is the word ritam? Matyanam ritam. Ritam, eternal life. That's a very fine translation. Ritam literally means truth. And this expression often comes in the Upanishads or in the Vedas, actually. It comes in the Shruti itself. But the concept is very much distinctly Vedic. That we are moving towards the truth. The truth means eternity. It refers to eternal life. Ratam Satyam Moksham. It refers to liberation, a life of liberation. Jiva Goswami has pointed out a higher meaning of Ratam. Ratam, Paramasatyam, Sri Bhagavantam. We desire the supreme truth, Sri Bhagavan. Ritam, Satyavastu, Sri Krishna Mityarthaha. Sri Vishnu Chakravarti says Ritam refers to that Vastu, that substance, who is true. And it refers to Sri Krishna. Nanu Nashwaradehanam Krishna Katha Bhagyalabhaha Api Katham Setsyati. How will this good fortune of hearing Krishna Katha uh, produce results for those with temporary bodies? Ityata aha. With that in mind, here he speaks the second half of this verse. Yakshetre Shamitur idam chamitram karma ashuhimsaram tatra tadartham mrityu upahutaha. The living entity, as it develops from lower animal life to a higher human being and gradually to higher intelligence, becomes anxious to get free from the clutches of death. Modern scientists try to avoid death by physiochemical advancement of knowledge. But alas, the controller of death, Yamaraj, is so cruel that he does not spare even the very life of the scientist himself. The scientist who puts forward the theory of stopping death by advancement of scientific knowledge becomes himself a victim of death when he is called by Yamaraj. What to speak of stopping death? No one can enhance the short period of life even by a fraction of a moment. The only hope of suspending the cruel slaughtering process of Yamaraj is to call him to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord. Yamaraj is a great devotee of the Lord, and he likes to be invited to kirtanas and sacrifices by the pure devotees who are constantly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, the great sages, headed by Shaunaka and others, invited Yamaraj to attend the sacrifice performed at Naimisharanya. This was good for those who did not want to die. 8. न कश्चिन् म्रियते तावद् यावदास्ते हान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान् परमर्षिभिः अहो निलोके पीयेत हरिलीलामृतं वचः. As long as Yamaraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited the controller of death, Yamaraj, who is the representative of the Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage of hearing the deathless nectar in the form of this narration of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. This is not an exaggeration, but it applies to those who are sufficiently qualified. There is a mention in Bhakti-vaibhava of an actual event that took place in the manifest pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There was a child who, he was giving a Bhagavatam class, and there was a child who was crawling towards some fire or something. And everybody was shocked, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very peacefully, he said, nothing will happen. Inauspiciousness cannot happen when Bhagavatam is discussed. And they found that nothing happened to the child also. So it applies with terms and conditions. There are many statements like this in the scriptures. If you simply chant Hare Krishna, then all diseases go away. Like this, you'll find statements in the scriptures. There's no exaggeration in this, but it applies to particular persons. There are some terms and conditions. So why have the great sages invited the controller of death, Yamaraj, they have done this. Aho niloke Harilamritam Vachaha Piyeta Etadartham. So that the living beings can relish the nectar of Harilila. Those who are martyrs, those who are subject to death, let them drink this nectar. Yavadiha Harikathayam aste, Tavadiha Kaschinnam Riyeta. As long as they are absorbed in Harikatha, nobody will die. Tacha Esham Shotrinam Marana Nivarana Karanam Mrityu Ahvanam Nirvighna Harikathamrita Panarthameva. So they did not want Yamaraj to have his influence on these sages while they are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, because they didn't want Srimad Bhagavatam, Shravanam, and Kirtanam to be disturbed. Therefore, they said, therefore, the statement is made that let Yamaraj also come and sit here and hear Bhagavatam. Then he will not have any effect. Every human being dislikes meeting death, but he does not know how to get rid of death. The surest remedy for avoiding death is to accustom oneself to hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord as they are systematically narrated in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is advised herein, therefore, that any human being who desires freedom from death to take to this course of life as recommended by the rishis, headed by Shaunaka. Prabhupada actually authorized this. He tried it out. In Vrindavan, he called the devotees and he said, as your service, you can simply read my books. That itself is your service. I'll maintain you, take care of you whole life. But one, they couldn't handle it. And I think that is a situation in Mayapur, in Vrindavan, and all these places even now also. The vast majority of us, we don't have that degree of spiritual maturity to just engage in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu alone, only that much. 9. Mandasya manda pragyasya vayo mandayushasya vai nidraya hriyate naktam. Wait, something has happened. I don't know what's this. Sorry. Okay. I don't know how to do that. Oh. Okay. Okay. Lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and the day performing activities that are for naught. NAUGHT, not. Not means for nothing. So the bhave vrithaiva jivanam. Without such absorption in Shravanam, Kirtanam, and so on, life itself is a waste. One's very lifespan is a waste, according to Prabhu. The less intelligent do not know the real value of the human form of life. The human form is a special gift of material nature in the course of her enforcing stringent laws of miseries upon the living being. It is a chance to achieve the highest boon of life, namely to get out of the entanglement of repeated birth and death. The intelligent take care of this important gift by strenuously endeavoring to get out of the entanglement. But the less intelligent are lazy and unable to evaluate the gift of the human body. Instead of employing the energy of the human body to achieve liberation from material bondage, they become more interested in so-called economic development and work very hard throughout life simply for the sense enjoyment of the temporary body. Sense enjoyment is also allowed to the lower animals by the law of nature, and thus a human being is also destined to get a certain amount of sense enjoyment according to his past or present life. But one should definitely try to understand that sense enjoyment is not the ultimate goal of human life. So, see, the idea is this, that sense enjoyment is a necessity during the conditioned state, and that is allowed for different persons according to their position. But we should not consider that to be the ultimate goal of human life. If I remember correctly, Prabhupada gives an example that we put fuel into the vehicles. We put fuel into the vehicles. We put fuel into the vehicle so that we can use our vehicle to go to the desired destination. So we are not putting fuel into the vehicle for the sake of putting fuel into the vehicle. It is there for a particular purpose. Similarly, the sense enjoyment that is allowed for the human being within particular restrictions also is meant for some other purpose, which has nothing to do with sense enjoyment itself. Herein it is said that during the daytime, one works, quote unquote, for nothing, for naught, for nothing. Because the aim is nothing but sense enjoyment. We can particularly observe how the human beings engage for nothing in the great cities and industrial towns. There are so many things manufactured by human energy, but they're all meant for sense enjoyment and not getting out of material bondage. After working hard during the daytime, a tired man either sleeps or engages in sex habits at night. That is the program of materialistic civilized life for the less intelligent. Therefore, they are designated herein as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. It is, first of all, we should have it thorough and clear that there is reincarnation according to the law of karma, as long as we have a desire to experience material sound, touch, form, taste, smell. That we cannot get out of. So, therefore, in the program of Karma Kanda, Karma Bhumika, or Karma Pantha, the pathway of karma, that is the arrangement for elevating oneself life after life. So, from human life, one can proceed to a more celestial life, and then higher, 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 higher. This is something that is acceptable to the mind of a conditioned soul who wants to enjoy in this world. They just have to sacrifice a little bit. They just have to work a little bit hard to follow Vedic Dharma. The result is also seen in this life. So it is convincing enough. And then in the next life, one is promoted to a higher life. So this concept is there. You're supposed to progress, go higher, 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 higher. You're not supposed to just do nothing. But in today's world, people are blind. They're blind to the reality of reincarnation according to the law of karma. And therefore, I may be working very hard and I become a big millionaire. And then I die, and then in next life I become some squirrel somewhere. So then, which is very, very low in species. So what do you haven't gained anything. You haven't gained anything. I thought there was a question. Okay, I see questions here. Chat.
Prabhu.
Wait. What is the result? What is the result that is seen in this life? The benefits of following Vedic Dharma is
Prabhu,
perceived
your
in this. Yes.
voice is breaking in between.
My voice is breaking.
No. It's a Chitrampuru's network problem.
Okay, wait.
Oh, sorry.
The benefits of following dharma are experienced in this life itself. Comes over the decades. One will get it. It may come faster also. Just that one has to experience the karmic reactions from the past lives also. Always, karmic reactions are not always, but most of the time, it is given in at least two installments. One installment for this life, and then later, Aihika and Paratrika. In this life and later. Later could mean next life and the life after that and the life after that, and it could mean many, or it could be just that one life. Very rarely one is given the benefit in that life itself. If one executes pure devotion service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the benefit is experienced in this very life. You don't have to wait. The complete benefit is experienced in this life. Of course, Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti will lead to Shuddha Bhava Bhakti and Shuddha Prema Bhakti. So one attains a state of Samadhi in this very life. And next life, naturally, he will join Krishna's pastimes in somewhere in Prapancha, in material existence. Reference for karmic reactions given in two installments. Ask me in Telegram. I'll have to give you the quote. It's in Mahabharata. There's a discussion between Yudhishthir and Bhishma. Brought out there. He specifically asks, are the benefits of karma, are the reactions experienced in this life or next life or both? So Bhishma explains it is both. 10. Sutavacha. Yada parikshit kurujangale vasat kalim pravishtam neja chakravartite nishamya vartam annati priyam tatah sharasanam samyuga shaundiradade. Suta Goswami said, while Maharaj Parikshit was residing in the capital of the Kuru Empire, the symptoms of the age of Kali began to infiltrate within the jurisdiction of his state. When he learned about this, he did not think the matter very palatable. This did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bow and arrows and prepared himself for military activities. Tatra tavat Kali nigraha prasangamaha yadeti. Now he discusses how King Parikshit subdued Kali. Yada, not Jija Chakravarti, Nija. Some typing mistake. Nija Chakravarti de Swasenaya Palite Deshe Kalim Pravishtam Shrava. Tada tam an atipriyam vartam kinchit priyam cha yuddha kautuka sampatteh nishamya. He did not think the matter very palatable. He did not consider the matter to be very pleasing. And Sridhar Swami indicates that this means he found it to be slightly pleasing because he had the opportunity to have some fun by going on a war with Kali. Genuine Kshatriyas are never afraid of going on war. Going on war, fighting, getting injured, getting cut, getting, all these things. They like all these things. Tataha Sharasanam Dushtan Nigrahartam Adade. So he took up his bows and arrows in order to subdue the mischief maker or makers. Samyuge, Shaundir Yuddhe Pragalbha. So he was very, very enthusiastic. Yuddhe Shaurihi Krishna Tulyaha. That's a variant reading here. Samyuga Shaurihi. Instead of Samyuga Shaundi. In which case it means, it indicates that King Parikshit was equal to Lord Krishna. Shauri is a name of Lord Krishna. Is equal to Lord Krishna in battle. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out, it was at this time that he came out of his city for Digvijaya. Digvijaya means to conquer the various directions. Purport. The state administration of Maharaj Parikshit was so perfect that he was sitting in his capital peacefully. But he got the news that the symptoms of the age of Kali had already infiltrated into the jurisdiction of his state, and he did not like this news. What are the symptoms of the age of Kali? They are illicit connection with women, indulgence in meat eating, intoxication, and taking pleasure in gambling. The age of Kali literally means the age of quarrel, and the above mentioned 4 symptoms in human society are the root causes for all kinds of quarrel. In fact, Prabhupada has specified that as long as we follow the 4 regulative principles strictly and chant minimum 16 rounds and follow his other instructions, we will never become demoniac. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu says that Prabhupada said at one point, the devotees will be on one side and the non-devotees will be on another side. And it will be a war between the divine and the demoniac. So Ravindra Swarup Prabhu said, so when I'm on the side of the divine and I have a gun and I'm pointing at the demoniac and I see through, the gun, you see that's called crosshair. You see through the lens and that's a crosshair. So he said, and I see through the lens and I see one of the persons in that demoniac, he's wearing the dress that ISKCON people wear. And he's got tilak, he's got kantimala, he's got, he has all these things. So what should I do? So Prabhupada said, as long as our devotees follow the 4 regulative principles as I have given them, they chant minimum 16 rounds properly, they avoid offenses, if they basically follow everything, they will never ever become demoniac. If they do this correctly. If they don't do this, then when Ravindra Swarup explained this many years back to me, to some of us, I also happened to be there. Probably 2002 or 3, something like that. And he was in Calcutta at that time. So then immediately after saying this, then he said, in some parts of the world, even parts where ISKCON had flourished greatly with thousands of devotees, he said, now, how many follow the 4 regulative principles as defined by Prabhupada? We can count with our hands, with our fingers. So those people will not become demoniac. Because Prabhupada has also defined what the 4 regulative principles are very clearly. In gambling, he has included sports. Like that different thing, and I guess defined it very well. You can see that notice that he put in New York. Maharaj Parikshit heard that some of the people of the state had already taken to those symptoms and he wanted to take immediate steps against such causes of unrest. This means that at least up to the regime of Maharaj Parikshit, such symptoms of public life were practically unknown. And as soon as they were slightly detected, he wanted to root them out. The news was not palatable for him, but in a way it was. Because Maharaj Parikshit got a chance to fight. There was no need to fight with small states because everyone was peacefully under his subordination, but the Kali Yuga miscreants gave his fighting spirit a chance for exhibition. It is typical of the Kshatriya mindset to always hanker for a good fight. What is life without a fight? The Kshatriya mind will always ask for that. And the Vipras, they also require a proper debate, which is an intellectual fight also. It is an intellectual war. They require that. There has to be some opportunity to do that. Otherwise, they'll create it also. Require. Otherwise, what? what is life without a fight? Same principle applies for them also. But it's just more of a philosophical type. So Kshatriyas also have this. A perfect Kshatriya king is always jubilant as soon as he gets the chance to fight. So those who are not bona fide administrators, but who have foolishly accepted that post, they are the ones who get a headache every time a problem comes. But genuine Kshatriya is not that. Just as a sportsman is eager when there is a chance for a sporting match, it is no argument that in the age of Kali such symptoms are predestined. If so, then why was there preparation for rooting out such symptoms? Such arguments are offered by lazy and unfortunate men. In the rainy season, rain is predestined, and yet people take precautions to protect themselves. Similarly, in the age of Kali, the symptoms, as above mentioned, are sure to infiltrate into social life, but it is a duty of the state to save the citizens from the association of the agents of the age of Kali. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to punish the miscreants indulging in the symptoms of Kali and thus save the innocent citizens who were pure in habit by culture of religion. It is the duty of the king to give such protection, and Maharaj Parikshit was perfectly right when he prepared himself to fight. 11. Swalankritam Shyama Turanga Yojitam Ratham Mrigendra Dhvajamashritah Pura Vrito Rathashvad Dvipapattiti No, Vrito Rathashvad Dvipapatti Yuktaya Swasenaya Dig Vijayaya Nirgata. Maharaj Parikshit sat on a chariot drawn by black horses. His flag was marked with the sign of a lion. Being so decorated and surrounded by charioteers, cavalry, elephants, and infantry soldiers, he left the capital to conquer in all directions. Ateva Digvijayaya, Tatta Diksthita Dushta Rajadi Vashikaraya. So this is the meaning of Digvijaya. Conquest of all directions means to subdue miscreant kings and so on, situated in all the 8 directions. Maharaj Parikshit is distinguished from his grandfather, Arjuna, for black horses pulled his chariot instead of white horses. He marked his flag with the insignia of a lion, and his grandfather marked his with the insignia of Hanumanji. A royal procession like that of Maharaj Parikshit, surrounded by well-decorated chariots, cavalry, elephants, infantry, and band, is not only pleasing to the eyes, but also indicative of a civilization that is aesthetic, even on the fighting front. It should look beautiful. It should sound beautiful. It should be nice. Not that simply I'm going to kill, let me just kill. That's all. It should look nice. Well, Bhadrashvam Ketumalam cha Bharatam Chotaran Kurun Kim Purushadini Varshani Vijitya Jagrihe Balim. Maharaj Parikshit then conquered all parts of the earthly planet, Bhadrashva, Ketumala, Bharata, the northern Kuru, Kimpurusha, etc., and exacted tributes from their respective rulers. Bhadrashvadini Purva Paschima Dakshinottarataha Samudra Lagnani Varshani Meroho Sarvataha Ilavritam. Tata Uttarato Ramyakam Hirma. This is all 5th canto geography. I'm not going to get into it. Dakshinato Harivarsham Kimpurusham cha. If someone can give me put out a map of the different varshas in the 5th canto, then you can very easily see where these places are. Tatascha tat prabhavena nikhnutasva prabhave sati bharata varsha matra adhikarini kalau prasangato bhadrashwadin yapi jetum gataha. Okay, one thing to be noted, the 4 yugas take place only in Bharata Varsha, which corresponds to our earth, our global earth. The 4 yugas do not have effect on, in the 5th canto, what we experience as earth is considered to be a portion of area called Bharata Varsha. Then there are other areas in like all these places, Bhadrashva, Ketumala, Uttarakuru, and so on. There you don't have the Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga. It's mentioned in the scriptures, mentioned both in Vishnu Purana and in Shiva Purana also. I came across those references. So Srila Jiva Goswami mentions here that he had gone to subdue Kali. But just incidentally, he went to the other places also to bring there also under control. Kramastu atra na vivakshataha. This is not the order in which he went. It's not that first he went to Bhadrashva, then Ketumala, then Bharata, then Northern Kuru, then Kimpurusha, etc. Bhadrashva, it is a tract of land near Meru Parvata, and it extends from Gandhamadana Parvata to the saltwater ocean. There is a description of this Varsha in the Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva 7.14 to 18. The description was narrated by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Maharaj Yudhishthir also conquered this Varsha, and thus the province was included within the jurisdiction of his empire. Maharaj Parikshit was formally declared to be the emperor of all lands ruled by his grandfather, but still he had to establish his supremacy while he was out of his capital to exact tribute from such states. This earthly planet was divided into 7 dvipas by 7 oceans, and the central dvipa called this is Ketumala. This earth planet is divided into 7 dvipas, 7 oceans, and the central dvipa called Jambudvipa is divided into 9 varshas or parts by 8 huge mountains. Bharatavarsha is one of the above mentioned 9 varshas, and Ketumala is also described as one of the above varshas. It is said that in Ketumala Varsha, women are the most beautiful. This Varsha was conquered by Arjuna also. A description of this part of the world is available in the Mahabharata, Sabhaparva 28.6. It is said that this part of the world is situated on the western side of the Meru Parvata, and the inhabitants of this province used to live up to 10,000 years. Bhishma Parva 6.31. Human beings living in this part of the globe are of a golden color, and the women resemble the angels of heaven. The inhabitants, these areas are called Bhaumaswarga. The inhabitants are free from all kinds of diseases and grief. Bharatavarsha. This part of the world is also one of the 9 varshas of Jambudvipa. A description of Bharatavarsha is given in the Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva, chapters 9 and 10. In the center of Jambudvipa is Ilavrtavarsha, and south of Ilavrtavarsha is Harivarsha. The description of these varshas is given in the Mahabharata, Sabhaparva 28.7 to 8 as follows. Nagramscha Vramscha Iva Nadishcha Vimalodaka Purushan Devakalpamscha Narishcha Priyadarshana Adrishtapurvan Subhagan Sadadarsha Dhananjaya Sadanani Cha Shubhrani Narishcha Apsarasam Nibha. It is mentioned here that the women in both these varshas are beautiful, and some of them are equal to the Apsaras or heavenly women. Uttarakuru. According to Vedic geography, the northernmost portion of Jambudvipa is called Uttarakuru Varsha. It is surrounded by the saltwater ocean from 3 sides and divided from Hiranmaya Varsha by Shringavan mountain. Kimpurusha Varsha, it is stated to be situated north of the great Himalaya mountain, which is 80,000 miles in length and height, and which covers 16,000 miles in width. These parts of the world were also conquered by Arjuna, Sabhaparva 28.1 to 2. The Kimpurushas are descendants of a daughter of Daksha. When Maharaj Yudhishthir performed the horse sacrifice yajna, the inhabitants of these countries were also present to take part in the festival, and they paid tributes to the emperor. This part of the world is called Kimpurusha Varsha, or sometimes the Himalayan provinces, Himavan. It is said that Shukadeva Goswami was born in the Himalayan provinces, and that he came to Bharatavarsha after crossing the Himalayan countries. A friend of mine, who is also scholarly, he pointed out that Shukadeva Goswami was once instructed to travel like a human being. That means he had to travel on foot. At least on one instance, he did that. In other words, Maharaj Parikshit conquered all the world. He conquered all the continents, adjoining all the seas and oceans in all directions, namely the eastern, western, northern, and southern parts of the world. So that is 12. So I've completed my quota today. I thought there was a question here. Achyutanam Prabhu has a question.
There was Mohan Prabhu's question also. I think he put his hand down.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
So as you told earlier that the four regulative principles are meant for the Brahmanas. So even for the Kshatriyas, as we hear that they come in the allowed activities also, Kama Karma, these four acts. So
specific restrictions there for them. Specific restrictions for them. They're allowed. They were allowed previously. They were allowed to eat medhya mamsa. So specific restrictions were allowed for them.
Mm-hmm. So even in ISKCON also, if we see like those who are in the top management and such Kshatriya activities. So
it's administration. Administration. Prabhupada repeatedly says administration is a Kshatriya activity because you are protecting assets. Yogakshema you're meant to provide, or at least you're officially meant to provide. So automatically it's a Kshatriya zone. Yes.
So are they allowed to forego these four regs? That's my question.
Another point to be noted is inside each varna also there are upavarnas. So within the brahmanas also you have pure brahmanas. Pure brahmanas are called Shrotriya brahmanas. And then you have brahmanas with some Kshatriya inclinations. For instance, the ministers of a king, the Rajaguru. These are all brahmanas these are primarily brahmanas, secondarily Kshatriyas. And then you have brahmanas with some Vaishya nature, which we have seen quite common. And then there are brahmanas with Shudra nature also. So similarly, there are Kshatriyas with some Brahmanical nature. These are the Rajarshis. And there are Kshatriyas who are full-fledged Kshatriyas. And there are Kshatriyas with some Vaishya nature. There are Kshatriyas with some Shudra nature. There are Vaishyas with Brahmanical nature. There are Vaishyas with Kshatriya nature, like that. So if you do a further calculation, then you come to, if you include the Upavarnas, you come to 16 types. So these things were very intuitively, easily understood in the past. Those who have accepted a spiritual path, what they have actually done is they have decided to progress through the varnas, and they're also accepted to progress through the ashramas. That is the meaning of acceptance of the spiritual path. The spiritual path means you're supposed to move up. That is why in India, you see the people who keep objecting to us. They're basically objecting that we are not functioning as full-fledged Brahman. We are not moving towards that line individually. As a pravaha, as a stream, just like in a school, there'll always be first standard, second standard, and so on. Okay, we know that. Like a flowing river, continuously it is flowing. So like that, continuously there's a stream of students. But the individual students are expected to progress. So if you take something like Prabhupada's creation of a Society for Krishna Consciousness, as a overall picture, there will always be Brahmanas, there will always be Kshatriyas, there will always be Vaishyas, there will always be Shudras. Within the restrictions of Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga. But they're all expected to move up. And when they don't see us progress over the days, weeks, months, years, decades, then they get annoyed. Because they're looking at individuals. Overall, it is understood, okay, there will always be people in Tamoguna, there will always be people in Rajoguna, there will always be in Sattva. Even when they take to Paramartha, spirituality, they know that. That is not so much of the issue. It's just that individuals need to progress from Tamoguna to Rajoguna to Sattva to Prakrita. And there are very clear symptoms described for each of them. Achyutanam Prabhu, I thought he had a question.
Prabhu, like I was discussing with Mohan Radhapati Prabhu about this only, like those who are managers, they are into Kshatriya role, but they are on a spiritual path. So will they be given some concession in this 4 regs?
Go to hell. That cannot be. Prabhupada will not accept that at all.
No, but it is meant for Brahmanas. But the thing which they are doing is of a Kshatriya nature. So will they be primary Brahmana and little Kshatriya, that category?
That is how it is meant to be. That's how it is meant to be. That too, at least in a place like a holy dham, like Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, our communities will have to be distinctly Brahmanas. Overall, it has to be. Like, for instance, opposite Prabhupada's Bhajan Kutir, there was a time when there was a toilet during Prabhupada's time. And when it was not flushed, Prabhupada screamed at everyone, saying, "What is this? How can a Brahmana tolerate uncleanliness?" And everybody was there. All the devotees were there. The managers were there. And Prabhupada actually called the GBCs and screamed at them. So overall, it is meant to be Brahmanical now. Even what to speak of this, I remember reading an article in Nadia Prakash. It was in one of the mathas in the road going towards Kularghat only. Somebody had shown me something and I was reading. And it was an article from Nadia Prakash, which was a daily newspaper established by Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And there was a mention about Varnic stratification in the Gaudiya Math itself. This was done during Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time. He spoke about Matha Shikshakas, Matha Rakshakas, Matha Poshakas, and Matha Sevakas. Those who teach them in the Matha Shikshakas, he said, these are Brahmanas. Matha Rakshakas, those who protect the Matha, Kshatriyas. Matha Poshakas, those who nourish it by bringing funds and donation and time. And then Matha Sevakas and the servants. So you see the 4 varnas, that was there. Of course, in the Matha, you only had Grihatyagis. So it is already one level higher. Samaj, if you say, is a big circle. Matha is a smaller circle in the center of that circle. So if you say Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur created a Gaudiya Vaishnava Matha, Prabhupada created a Gaudiya Vaishnava Samaj, a larger circle. So we are supposed to move towards it. Everybody is supposed to move towards that. Everybody is supposed to move towards it. All of us are supposed to become. We are supposed to progress over the varnas and progress through the ashramas also. Nivrittirishta, 11th canto. Ultimately, we are supposed to move in the Nivritti Marga. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also noted in Vedic Dharma itself, stratification. It says 3rd class people are those who are interested in pravritti only. 2nd class people are interested in pravritti and nivritti. 1st class people are interested only in nivritti. This, and of course, all 3 are meant to keep away from sinful activities, adharma. We are supposed to progress in chanting, quality and quantity. We are supposed to progress. So when we progress, then naturally all of these things will come about. Okay, so I'll stop with this. I'll try to get my computer prepared also.
Oh, there are so many other questions in chat box.
In chat box.
Like Somapati Prabhu's question of time.
Wait. There's something I'm not able to. Where is the chat box? I'm confused. Okay, wait. Where did I go? Am I in the meeting or out of the meeting now?
You are in the meeting.
Okay. Where is the chat box here? More. Chat. So much I have to click just to see what is the result. Okay, reference for karmic reactions given in 2 installments. Okay. Thus, it is our duty to see that not a moment of our life is wasted in topics which are not related with Lord Krishna. Is there any secret to follow this, not wasting time, or any step-by-step process we should follow? Namatraya Bhakti is a simple process. We accept Prabhupada's program, and we also try to increase the quality and quantity of our chanting. Why not follow that? Also, when we are in preaching, it becomes difficult to follow this instruction to the point. Which instruction? But preaching itself is supposed to be about Krishna only. So how can preaching Krishna consciousness make things difficult to remember Krishna? It affects our sadhana too. How does it affect your sadhana? If you don't follow your sadhana, you don't become pure enough to preach purely. And apart from that, it is not going to set a good example, and preaching will not be effective also. Is Kartik Vrata mandatory for brahmacharis like Havishyana taking, etc.? These are all useful. What are the results we expect? We gradually get used to reducing our authorized sense enjoyment. Ultimately, we need to come to the point where we are free from eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Ahar nidra bhaya maithuna. So let's say that we have given up maithuna. Okay, all sexual activity we have given up. Okay, first, one thing is cut out. Next, we have to get rid of bhaya. Bhaya is financial insecurity. That if I don't do this, will I get maintained this, that? That fear has to go away. After that goes away, then nidra, then ahar. But it is very useful to, on an annual basis, to get used to getting to cut out these kind of things. No, this is what is commonly referred to in South India as vrata. By vrata, they mean we get rid of things that are not absolutely mandatory. Spiritualists are supposed to be of this nature. They're supposed to get out of all this. The inhabitants are free from all kinds of diseases and grief. Diseases and grief that are experienced by human beings. Do they not belong to earthly planets? Not exactly. It is called Bhauma Swarga. When we come to fifth canto, you will see. It is not the globe Earth that we experience. It is Swarga, but it is Bhauma Swarga. That's also Swarga in Antariksha. And Apsaras and all are there. So that is why these women are compared to those women. Wait, how do I lower hand here? Okay, lower hand.
So this Himalaya in purport is different from the Himalaya ranges known geographically on the northern part of India. In 12th purport,
Human beings we experience
Kim Purusha Varsha.
Human beings, we experience the earth as a globe. That is described in the Jyotisha scriptures also. In the science of Jyotisha, there is a description of the earth as a round sphere within outer space. That corresponds to Pratyaksha and Anuman also. Then there is earth that is perceived by Devanikayas, those who are celestial beings. So
or even the yogis also, they perceive as it is like that kind of.
Yeah. Celestial beings. Now, of course, those who are engaged in yoga, they have even higher sensory perception than the celestial beings. Celestial beings generally refer to only the upper, not just upper, lower planets also. The asuras, daityas, they're all celestial beings, actually. They accept Vedic authority. They are celestial beings. The devas are in charge of the universal government. That doesn't mean that. So they are opulent. But there are some, like in Sutala and so on, they are more opulent. They're more opulent than the devas even though they are actually inferior. It's just on terms of opulence that they are considered to have a higher standard of material life. So they all experience the universe as described in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, which is also found in various Puranas. It is also found in Ramayana, found in Mahabharata, and so on. So that is the prototype. And we experience this earth. It will come in 5th canto. We will have ample opportunity to study. Okay. Anything else? I don't even understand what's happening. I must get back to this computer to repair it. Okay. And